No.
Shana will answer it for me. What is my answer, Shana?
He doesn't watch movies.
Oh, man. Okay.
Shana,
So
you
here's
and I
Suzanne.
what movies
He
or
doesn't
movies?
watch science movies.
Okay.
He watches documentaries.
Okay, my wife has answered it for me.
Okay.
Susan,
Okay.
my right hand and my left hand.
That
Now
is
on
the
my
best
left
answer
hand.
that we got.
So she is right. I have no great appetite for scientific.
Because when he watches
fiction.
a science movie, he tells me everything that is not correct about what they are showing.
That's not
So
all we do. I keep
so
telling
he
my sister,
doesn't-
ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता, ये तो मेरे को बता रहा
He does not watch science movies.
है.
I love documentaries
Documentaries.
because you always learn from a documentary.
Hmm.
Even if it is a documentary which covers your own time, you always learn something that
True.
you either didn't know or you had forgotten.
True,
And
true,
Susan
true,
also likes documentaries, so we often watch documentaries.
Sir, you have taught kids around the world through your YouTube, your MIT lectures, the fall series and everything. The education system there and the education system here in India is quite different. What do you think about the understanding of science in India? How Indian students perceive science? Are they hungry about science? Do they want to know about things? 75% of your audience is Indian. You have studied in many videos. So what do you think about it?
In India, almost every person wants to get into an IIT. There are 23 IITs. Only 10,000 people every year will be accepted in an IIT.
True.
And about 1 million people every year, sometimes 2 million,
2
try
million,
to
true.
get into an IIT.
2 million, true. Approx.
And the sad thing is, so that less than 1% gets accepted in an IIT. And the sad thing is that many people who do not get into an IIT, that means they don't pass the advanced JEE exam, they think of themselves as being a failure. And even some of their family members think of them being a failure, which is totally ridiculous. It is totally absurd, because it would mean that 99% of all Indian students were failures. It's ridiculous, right?
No, no, at all.
So the good thing about the United States is that there is not just one institution, like you have IITs, that everyone wants to go to. We have universities which are at the top of the scale, and we have universities which are near the bottom of the scale. And so every person who applies for a university would apply maybe to 10 or 15 universities, and that person would apply to one that is perhaps a little bit above his or her level, and it would apply to many which are a little bit below her level. And so then they get accepted by one that is just right for them. But the notion that if you do not get accepted by Harvard, that you are then a failure is of course ridiculous. No one even thinks that way. But in India, I know that this is the case. And it is very sad. Even some Indians take their lives if they don't pass.
True. True, sir. True. That happens, Walter, sir. That happens. Sir, none of the IITs in the list of top 100 colleges across the globe is still IITs are so hyped up in India that students even commit suicide that you have mentioned. And I have been always telling students, it's not about selected in IIT or selected in NEET. It's about your love for the subject, your passion for the thing that you are doing. So throw some light on that. We need Indian students to hear from you. What do you feel about this thing?
Yeah, I think the first IIT, the best IIT, is close to number 300 in the world. No, you can look it up. I mean, I really believe that. I've looked that up once. I think it's a very good question. And I think it is related to the fact that India became independent not so long ago. It was 1948.
True.
And India is still growing up.
True.
And India's priorities, the government's priorities, is not necessarily education, is also not the Olympics. How many Olympics medals do Indians have? Very few.
Very few.
Because Olympics, to get ready for the Olympics, is very expensive.
Very expensive.
Can you imagine a world champion tennis in India? It's out of the question. So it is a matter of where India puts its priorities. And the priorities have to be to feed people and to keep them healthy, which is hard enough. Because India has 300 billion. So it will take a long time before India will be able to improve enormously on its education. And of course, India will then in time also get more Nobel Prizes than they have received so far. But it will happen. Alakh, it will happen. Given it another 50 years, you will see a dramatic change in the quality.
The change is coming. We are bringing the change.
And in the quality of the schools. It takes time.
So we are here for the revolution. We are making that change. We are into it. And so many other educators and so many other contributors are here. We are trying to bring the revolution, and I'm very hopeful that we will bring the revolution very soon. Sir, do you think it's about, sir, do you think it's also about the poverty that most of the students cannot afford education because education is highly priced in India? What are your views about it, sir? Should education be highly priced or should it be low priced? Does this affect Indian education system?
Yes, but that is connected to what I just said. In India, the priority is to feed people because of the poverty. There are many people. I have been in India 4 times. I have seen the shanty towns. It is scary. I have been at IITs whereby it was surrounded by fences and the entrance was attended by the military. You had to ID yourself to get in. And the reason for that was that the university had to protect itself from shantytown people entering. So the poverty in India is unimaginable. For probably, you know better than I do, probably 1/4 of Indians are really at the poverty level and lower. That means even their health is a serious problem. They don't even have proper medical help, maybe not even proper hygienic situations. So if that's where the emphasis lies for the government, that has to be solved first. And that will take more than 50 years.
Sir, do you think that education is already highly priced? I talk about that, but let's throw a light on it. Is internet making education affordable to Indians also? Of course, to the vast majority of Indians.
Breakthrough.
Great.
Absolutely. An enormous breakthrough. Because of internet, people all over the world can watch your lectures.
Yes.
And they can also watch my lectures. They may prefer your lectures, but okay, that's my problem. Yeah, internet is an enormous breakthrough. But now again, how many people in shanty towns have computers?
And mobiles are still common.
I doubt even that shanty towns have internet. All of that will be solved in time. So yes, indeed, there comes a time that every person in a shanty town will have a cheap, but nevertheless a laptop. and then there will be internet. And then very slowly, shanty towns will evaporate.
यहाँ रिक्शा चालक के पास स्मार्टफोन होता है, यहाँ रिक्शा चालक के पास भी स्मार्टफोन होता है. Sir, I want to switch topic. There was a
By the
very
way,
good topic.
you may not even know that in the United States, perhaps the richest country in the world, about 10% from the people in this country live below the poverty level. It's a shame, but it's true. India, it's much higher. And we don't have shanty towns. We have very poor neighborhoods, but we don't have shanty towns.
Sir, I want to shift the topic and bring a light-hearted topic over here. So the dotted lines, how does that happen? When was the first time that you draw that dotted lines?
It's extremely easy. My math teacher in high school did it. I can teach it to you in less than 1 minute. It is the direction in which you hold the chalk. Some people think that I can only do it because at MIT I have special chalk. Not at all true. MIT I have thick chalk, and that's worse to make dotted lines than with thin chalk. So you put it at an angle like this in the direction that you move your finger. And then the pressure on the blackboard has to be just adjusted that it starts jumping all by itself. And when you move your hand fast, then you have the dots are far apart. If you move your hand slowly, the dots are very close to each other. And on my channel, I have one video somewhere whereby I explain exactly how I do that. I can teach anyone. When I was in India, I taught at least 100 people in India how to make dotted lines. But you have to have a blackboard. You cannot do it on a whiteboard. So you need a chalk and a blackboard.
Okay. Of course.
If you're very experienced, you can even make a circle. But when you make a circle, you always have to be at an angle opposite to the direction that you're moving. So if you do a circle, you have to do this with your hands. And that takes a little bit of experience. To do this is easy. To do that is easy. To do this is easy. To do that is easy. Circles are harder.
Circles are hard. Right.
But you need a blackboard. Blackboards are going out. People do PowerPoints nowadays. People don't even know what a blackboard is anymore.
Okay.
I hate PowerPoints. I've never done PowerPoints at MIT. But that's that everyone is doing nowadays. So people don't use blackboards anymore.
Sir, I will again go to a very light-hearted topic again, that you are a very great physics teacher and students think you like a geek of physics. How does that works in your home? What is the reaction of your wife, Suzanne, on you being a physics teacher? Are you able to communicate with her about physics topic? Do you talk about what is the Bernoulli's theorem? Do you know Bernoulli's theorem? When she is bringing tea, you are like, okay, we will work on calorimetry. So how does that work in your home? The physics and Suzanne.
How do physics and your wife work together? They
Physics and
don't.
your wife.
Well, my wife is the best. So that's a given, and she knows it. So to compare the best with physics, that doesn't work.
No, not comparison. Not comparison, sir. Do you communicate physics with Suzanne? Of course, not comparison. Not at all. Not at all, sir. Babita is best. I know that.
He tries to teach me little bits and pieces, very little, small bits and pieces, because my mind is very small and it can't comprehend these huge theories and these huge equations. And I don't understand science, so we can't talk about it a lot, but our life is based around art more than science.
Wow.
Yeah, my wife has a master's degree in art history. And I have an enormous interest in art history. I always had that already when I was very young. So that really is one of the glues between us.
When we visit, when we do travel, if we're able to travel again, we spend the majority of our free time in museums and art
Wow.
galleries. That's what we
Wow.
do.
We also discuss art together very often.
Wow.
However, Susan is smart. And I don't say that because he's sitting next to me, because I tell her that very often.
I pay him a lot.
It happens often that we see something either in nature or even in the house, that she immediately has the correct explanation, which
Wow.
I overlooked, sometimes even related to physics. She is by all means very smart, but it's true that she doesn't have a degree in physics. So yeah.
I think she doesn't know the language of physics, but physics is all around us. We see things, that is physics. We see science, that is physics. Everything around us is physics. So we all can emotionally feel physics. Some of us can convert into the equations, formulas and all that. And some of us are like Susan.